Hey there, book dragons and bookworms and knights in shining armor and princesses and damsels not in distress. My name is Anna the Hobbit, and I own the Shire Bookstore here in Eddyville, Kentucky. And today I am with Dobby, and do not worry, he does have his sock, so he is a free elf. And we are going to talk about today the book genre called Gothic or Gothic romance or Gothic horror, and what does it mean when something is Gothic, when a book has a Gothic theme or Gothic is under a Gothic genre. And what that means is that there is an atmosphere to the book. There is a feeling of gloom. Maybe it takes place in an isolated island or a moor or an abandoned castle or an abandoned house. You get that sense of eeriness, of isolation. Also, there is going to be an overarching theme of maybe madness. Usually there's a supernatural theme also, so there's going to be something either mystical or not of this earth, and then you might also have some romance there, and also madness or guilt. The emotions of the characters are sometimes very, very, very strong, and there's lots of maybe thoughts of guilt, remorse, sadness, and sometimes even just the madness going on. Think of Poe, think of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You had that supernatural element also there, that gloomy element, and I really, really enjoy the Gothic genre. I love sad books. I love books that have gloom, and then of course a little bit of magic or a little bit of supernatural in there. To me, it's just amazing book. They tend to be slow burns. They tend to be growing and crescendoing into this big, huge reveal at the end. Jane Eyre is another one that comes to mind, where you had the spooky sensation, the ghosts, that we thought were there in the house. And so that's Gothic, the Gothic genre. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a book that has the word Gothic in it. This one's called Mexican Gothic. I did read this book a while ago, and I'm trying to remember everything that I thought about the book. Sometimes we don't remember the specifics about books, but we remember how the books made us feel. And this book made me feel, it does have that gloom because this takes place in Mexico. And what was different for me was, when I think of Mexico, I'm thinking sunshine, I'm thinking bright, I'm thinking a landscape with mountains and lots of food and lots of music, and that's what I'm thinking when I'm thinking Mexico. A lot like half my family lives there, and so very, very bright feel. And so when this takes place in Mexico, a countryside in Mexico, I just wasn't thinking gloom. I wasn't thinking forest. I wasn't thinking gloomy. And she doesn't, I try to remember where in Mexico this takes place, but it is in Mexico. The lady here, Noemi, she is a little socialite. So I think Miss Sylvia Moreno Garcia, I think she writes more for young adult. This did have a feel of young adult to me, and I'm not particularly fond of young adult. I did like The Hunger Games. I did like Red Rising, maybe because they're I'm not sure why I like those, but this one just didn't quite make it to like a 5-star for me. But let me just tell you a little bit about it, and it might be a 5-star for you, or it might be something you consider reading. We are up on October almost, we're into September, and the spooky vibe is coming up, the fall vibe is coming up. But this one here, let me read the back to you and see if you find it interesting or not. This is from the author of Gods of Jade and Shadow. I did read that one also, and again, it does feel a little young adult for me, because the characters, and what makes a young adult, it's a younger character usually. So this one comes a reimagining of the classic Gothic horror novel a story about an isolated mansion in the 1950s Mexico and the brave socialite drawn to its treacherous secrets. After receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Noemi Taboada, heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside. Noemi is an unlikely rescuer. She's a glamorous debutante, more suited for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing. But she's also tough, smart, and not afraid, not of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring, not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by Noemi, and not even of the house itself, which begins to invade Noemi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. Again, you have that psychological issues there. Noemi's only ally is this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son, but he too may be hiding a dark secret. As Noemi begins to unearth stories of violence and madness, she is slowly drawn into a terrifying yet seductive world, a world that may be impossible to escape. I'm remembering there is a supernatural element to this, and I remember I didn't like it. That's what it was. That's what it was. And so, but you may like it. This does I remember the atmosphere was really good, but I just didn't put Mexico to it. That was my issue with it. But some people really really liked it. There's a couple of people who said it's a slow burn. Lovecraft meets the Brontes, stylish and edgy, creepy, blending chilling senses of horror with classic Gothic tropes. And so if that's your vibe, you might like this book. It's a great book to start getting into the fall season. And I thought it was probably more like a 3.5 star for me, just because it does have a little bit of young adult feel to it, and also I did not like the ending. Endings to me are so important, and I just didn't like the ending at all, and thought it was just a little bit of a cop out. But that's again my opinion. I want to talk about books with you, no matter whether I liked them or not. If you liked Mexican Gothic, let me know. And tell me why you did, because a lot of times, especially when we start talking about books, I'll have like a lower star, but then somebody will say something and I completely missed it. And then it sounds like, wow, then I missed this part. And it is a great book because of some comments some people made. And so, anyways, wanted to let you know about that and let you know a little bit about what Gothic horror or the Gothic genre is. It's very, very good genre to get into right now, especially as the fall season is coming up. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And if you gave this book a try, let me know, and let me know your thoughts. You have a wonderful day. Take care.